Have you ever wondered what happens when someone dares to mess with a chosen one? It's not just a battle in the physical world, it's a cosmic shift with consequences that reach beyond what the eye can see. The stakes aren't just earthly, they're spiritual, eternal, and inescapable. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 54 verse 17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." This isn't just a promise, it's a divine law that has guided and protected God's chosen ones for generations. It's a shield that no enemy can penetrate, no scheme can break, and no force can overpower. If you are one of the chosen, know this: you are not just protected, you are untouchable under God's authority. But here's the part most people overlook: when someone targets a chosen one, they're not just fighting against you. They're fighting against the one who anointed you, and that battle is one they can never win. The traps they set, they'll fall into them. The lies they spread, they'll come back to haunt them. The hate they project, it will be their own undoing. Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal how divine justice works in ways that are precise, powerful, and absolutely undeniable. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why no attack against a chosen one can ever succeed and why the best strategy for you is to keep walking in your purpose while God handles the rest. So, if you've ever faced battles, challenges, or attacks that felt overwhelming, this message is for you. Every challenge, every struggle, was part of a greater plan to elevate you, while those who came against you unknowingly sealed their own fate. Let's dive into the unstoppable power of divine justice. And if this message resonates with you, type "chosen, protected" in the comments below, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights like this. Section 1. You are never fighting alone. You are never fighting alone, chosen ones. No matter how overwhelming the odds may seem or how relentless the attacks against you feel, know this: God is not just by your side, He is ahead of you, fighting battles you cannot see, orchestrating a victory you may not yet understand. The Bible assures us in Exodus 14 verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." This is not just a comforting promise, it's a divine declaration that the weight of the battle is not on your shoulders. There will be moments when it feels like the wicked are thriving, their schemes flourishing while you stand in silence. Their lies might spread, their plans may seem foolproof, and their confidence unshakable. But what you see as their success is nothing more than the foundation of their own downfall. God uses their arrogance and deceit to expose their intentions and bring about their ultimate defeat. Every act of harm they plan against you is a piece of the trap they unknowingly set for themselves. Consider the story of Joseph in Genesis 50 verse 20. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and left to endure unimaginable hardships, Joseph's life seemed like a string of defeats orchestrated by evil. But what his brothers intended as harm, God used for good. When Joseph rose to power, he saved countless lives, including the very brothers who betrayed him. His journey reminds us that God's plan is greater than any attack, and what seems like a setback is often a divine setup for something extraordinary. In your own life, the attacks against you may feel deeply personal. Lies may be told to tarnish your reputation, betrayals may come from those closest to you, and schemes may be designed to see you fail. But here's the truth: no weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17. Every attempt to harm you will ultimately serve a greater purpose. The lies will be silenced, the betrayals will reveal true intentions, and the schemes will crumble under the weight of divine justice. Even when it feels like the world is against you, God is actively working on your behalf. His timing is deliberate, His justice is precise, and His protection is unshakable. You may not see it immediately, but every struggle you face is refining you, every trial is strengthening you, and every attack is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. The key is to trust the process, even when it's painful. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, my God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, Psalm 18 verse 2. Your role is not to retaliate but to trust and remain still, knowing that God's hand is guiding the outcome. When the enemy believes they have cornered you, God is already preparing your way of escape. When they think they've defeated you, God is laying the groundwork for your elevation. Rest assured, chosen ones, you are not just surviving these battles, you are being shaped into who God has called you to be. You are protected by divine forces far greater than any earthly power. The wicked may think they have the upper hand, but their plans are powerless against God's purpose. Stand firm in faith and trust that the one who fights for you will never fail. When the attacks come, remember this: you are never alone. God is your defender, your advocate, and your shield. No harm comes to you without passing through his hands, and if he allows it, it's only because he will turn it into something far greater than you could have ever imagined. Rest in this truth, chosen ones, and watch as God fights for you, turning every challenge into victory and every test into a testimony. Section 2, The Mirror Effect. The universe operates on a principle of balance, and no energy goes unnoticed or unreturned. What someone sends out inevitably comes back to them, multiplied in intensity. This law becomes even more powerful when directed at God's anointed, the chosen ones. The Bible warns us in Galatians 6 verse 7, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." This isn't merely a moral guideline, it's a divine truth that governs the spiritual realm. When someone directs negativity, jealousy, or harm toward a chosen one, that energy doesn't dissipate. Instead, it gathers momentum, gaining power as it reflects back to its source. It's like a boomerang. They think they've thrown it far away, but it circles back, hitting them harder than they could have ever imagined. This is the mirror effect, a spiritual reality that ensures justice is always served. Consider the story of Haman in the book of Esther. Haman plotted to destroy Mordecai, a righteous man who walked in obedience to God. He built gallows to execute Mordecai, confident in his scheme. Yet, the very gallows Haman built for harm became his own undoing. He was hanged on the same structure he had prepared for another. This isn't just a story from history, it's a timeless lesson that what you sow, you reap. Those who dig a pit for others often fall into it themselves. Negativity sent toward a chosen one doesn't just return, it comes back amplified. The mirror effect doesn't only reflect the action, it exposes the intention behind it. Those who harbor hate or jealousy toward God's anointed are not just projecting their emotions, they're revealing their own inner brokenness. Every ounce of darkness they send out magnifies their own chaos, bringing to light the very things they wish to hide. The energy they send is tainted by their own bitterness, fear, and envy. When it rebounds, it tears through their lives, exposing cracks in their foundation. It doesn't just affect their plans, it touches their relationships, their peace, and their identity. The more they push against a chosen one, the harder they fall into their own destruction. For chosen ones, this spiritual truth is a shield. The attacks directed at you don't weaken you, they strengthen you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17, because the mirror effect ensures that every attempt to harm you is deflected and returned to its source. This isn't passive protection, it's an active force, divinely orchestrated to protect those who walk in God's purpose. Every trap they set becomes a stumbling block for themselves. Every lie they spread wraps tighter around them. Their obsession with bringing you down becomes the very thing that drags them into chaos. While they focus their energy on you, you remain steadfast, untouched by their schemes, walking forward in the light of your purpose. The mirror effect is not just a consequence, it's a revelation. It shows the world that God's anointed are not to be tampered with. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, if someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them, Proverbs 26 verse 27. These are not just words, they are the spiritual laws that govern our reality. So, chosen ones, when you face negativity or harm, take heart. You don't need to retaliate or defend yourself. The energy they send will do the work for you. Trust in the divine balance that ensures every action against you will return to its sender. Stand firm in your purpose, knowing that the mirror effect is your shield and that God's justice is always at work. Section 3, God's precise justice. God's justice is not random, haphazard, or delayed, it is deliberate, unrelenting, and meticulously executed. When harm is directed at the chosen ones, it doesn't go unnoticed. The Bible reassures us in Romans 12 verse 19, "It is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord." This isn't just a comforting promise, it's a reminder that God's justice operates with unmatched precision, striking at the very heart of the plans meant to harm you. When the wicked conspire against the righteous, they may think their schemes are clever, their lies undetectable, and their plans foolproof. But God sees it all. Every betrayal, every deceitful act, and every calculated attack is laid bare before Him like an open book. He doesn't just react, He acts with foreknowledge, allowing their plans to unfold just enough to expose their intentions before dismantling them completely. Take the story of Daniel in the lion's den as a powerful example. Daniel's enemies conspired against him, manipulating the king to issue a decree they knew would trap him. From a human perspective, it seemed Daniel's fate was sealed, he was thrown into a den of lions. Yet, God's justice was already at work. Not only was Daniel protected, but the very people who plotted his demise were exposed and met the fate they had intended for him. The lions that were supposed to devour Daniel turned against his enemies instead. This is how God's justice operates, it's precise, calculated, and unmistakable. Every plan meant to destroy you becomes a stepping stone for God's glory. The traps they set for you, they'll fall into them. The lies they spread, they'll be silenced by the truth. The harm they attempt, it becomes their own undoing. God doesn't just protect His chosen ones, He uses the attacks against them to showcase His power and faithfulness. What makes God's justice even more extraordinary is His timing. From the outside, it may appear that the wicked are succeeding, that their plans are working, and that their lies are going unchallenged. But God's timing is never late. While they grow confident in their schemes, God is preparing to move in ways that leave no room for coincidence. He allows the wicked to build their own downfall, one step at a time, so that when His justice arrives, it is undeniable. This isn't about luck or karma, it's divine precision. For some, the punishment strikes their health, their relationships, or their reputation. For others, it dismantles their power, authority, or sense of control. The unraveling is deeply personal, cutting straight to the core of what they value most. And the more they resist, the deeper the blow. The beauty of God's justice is that it leaves no doubt. When it happens, there's no room to question whether it was divine intervention. The wicked are exposed, their plans are dismantled, and the chosen ones walk away protected, vindicated, and elevated. As the Bible says in Isaiah 54 verse 17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." This is not just a comforting verse, it's a divine promise that ensures victory for those who trust in God's timing. So, chosen ones, when you feel the weight of attacks, lies, or betrayals, rest assured that God's justice is already at work. You don't need to fight back, defend yourself, or retaliate. God is handling it with a precision that only He can deliver. Trust in His plan, stand firm in your purpose, and know that His justice is deliberate, unrelenting, and always victorious. You are not only protected, you are part of a greater plan that no force can overthrow. Section 4, Sacred Protection. You are not ordinary. You are set apart, marked as holy, and untouchable under divine authority. When you walk in your purpose as one of God's chosen ones, you carry a mark that distinguishes you in the spiritual realm. This isn't a mark you can see, but it's one the enemy cannot ignore. The Bible declares in Psalm 105 verse 15, "Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm." This isn't merely a warning, it's a divine decree that establishes a boundary no one can cross without consequences. When someone tries to harm a chosen one, they are not just attacking a person, they are challenging God Himself. The battles you face may feel personal, but they are far greater than that. The enemy is not just coming after you, they are trying to disrupt the divine purpose you carry. But here's the truth, your life is under God's authority, and no weapon, no scheme, and no force can break the protection that surrounds you. This sacred protection is not passive, it's active, constant, and unyielding. While others may see you as vulnerable, God's mark on your life ensures that you are shielded from harm in ways that are beyond human understanding. Every attack is intercepted, every trap is dismantled, and every scheme against you is rendered powerless. The mark of divine favor on your life sends a clear message to the spiritual realm, this one belongs to God. Think about what it means to be sacred territory. Imagine someone barging into a holy sanctuary with filthy intentions, believing they can desecrate what is consecrated. It's not just wrong, it's a direct challenge to divine authority. The same is true for anyone who tries to harm you. They are not just crossing a line, they are breaking spiritual laws that carry severe consequences. This is why those who target you often find themselves facing unexplainable chaos in their own lives. Their health, their peace, their relationships, and their plans begin to unravel. They may not understand why, but the truth is simple, they crossed a line they were never meant to cross. The punishment isn't random, it's divine justice, swift and precise, ensuring that sacred ground remains protected. Chosen ones, your life carries a mark of divine favor that shields you from harm. This favor doesn't mean you won't face challenges, it means those challenges can never overcome you. What the enemy intends for evil, God turns into good. What others plan for your destruction, God uses for your elevation. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17, because you are not fighting alone, you are standing under the banner of God's protection. Take a moment to reflect on this, your life is not just your own. You are part of a divine plan, and your steps are ordered by God. Every move you make is guided, every attack against you is deflected, and every challenge you face is turned into an opportunity for God to reveal His glory. So when you feel the weight of opposition, remember who you are and whose you are. You are sacred territory. You are untouchable, not because of your own strength, but because of the one who anointed you. Stand firm in your faith, knowing that no force on earth or in the spiritual realm can break the protection that surrounds you. Trust in God's promise, and walk boldly in your purpose, for you are covered, chosen, and protected. Section 5. Their obsession becomes their undoing. Hatred and envy are powerful, destructive forces, but they do not harm their intended target as much as they destroy the one who harbors them. When someone becomes obsessed with bringing down a chosen one, their fixation becomes the very trap that ensnares them. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 26 verse 27, whoever digs a pit will fall into it, if someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. This divine truth reveals the inescapable consequences of their actions, the more they push against you, the deeper they bury themselves. Their obsession often begins subtly, a jealous thought here, a bitter word there. But as they feed that negativity, it grows, consuming their thoughts, their time, and eventually their entire lives. They pour their energy into plotting your downfall, unaware that the very focus of their hatred is what weakens them. Their fixation blinds them to their own vulnerabilities, and instead of building themselves up, they waste away in bitterness. Every plan they make, every lie they spread, and every scheme they devise only amplifies their destruction. The Bible's warning is clear, their actions return to them. The pit they dig for you becomes their prison. The stone they roll against you crushes them instead. Their attempts to harm you are like seeds sown in rocky ground, they cannot bear fruit. Instead, those seeds of hatred take root in their own lives, choking out their peace, joy, and purpose. Look at the life of Haman in the book of Esther. Haman's hatred for Mordecai consumed him. He was so blinded by envy and pride that he built gallows specifically to destroy Mordecai. But God had other plans. The very gallows Haman built for harm became the instrument of his own undoing. This is not just a story, it's a reflection of the spiritual reality that surrounds the chosen ones. The obsession with harming you leads to a spiral of self-destruction. Their energy becomes so consumed by plotting against you that they lose focus on their own lives. Their relationships suffer, their health declines, and their minds grow restless. Bitterness eats away at them like a disease, isolating them from joy and connection. What they fail to realize is that their fixation on you only amplifies the light within you. While they become consumed by darkness, you continue to walk forward, untouched by their schemes. Their hatred becomes their undoing, while your faith becomes your strength. This is the nature of divine justice. God doesn't need you to retaliate or fight back. The forces working against you collapse under the weight of their own negativity. Their bitterness is like a fire they set but cannot control, and in the end, it consumes them. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17, because those who try to harm God's anointed are ultimately fighting a losing battle. So, chosen ones, take heart when you face opposition. You don't need to respond to their envy or hatred. Their obsession is not your burden to carry. Instead, continue to walk in your purpose, knowing that their attempts to harm you are only hastening their own downfall. Trust in God's timing, and remember, the Lord is my shield and my deliverer, Psalm 18 verse 2. Their fixation will not stop your progress, it will only expose their own brokenness. In the end, their obsession will leave them empty, while you remain whole. The more they try to bring you down, the more God will lift you up. Stand firm in this truth, you are protected, and no amount of hatred or envy can touch the purpose God has placed on your life. Let their obsession become their undoing while you continue to rise in faith and favor. Section 6, God's timing is perfect. God's timing is never late, never early, it is always perfect. When it feels like justice is delayed, it's not a sign of inaction but of divine preparation. The Bible reminds us in Ecclesiastes 8 verse 6, "For there is a time and a way for everything, although man's trouble lies heavy on him." This verse reassures us that, even when the burden feels overwhelming, God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. His timing ensures that justice arrives at the precise moment it is needed most. It can be hard to wait when it seems like the wicked are thriving, their plans succeeding, and their lies spreading unchecked. You might wonder why God allows their actions to persist. But what may feel like a delay is actually God giving them time to repent, time to turn from their ways, and time to recognize the consequences of their actions. His patience is not weakness, it's an opportunity for redemption. However, when that time runs out, his judgment is swift, precise, and undeniable. Consider the story of Pharaoh in Exodus. Pharaoh's repeated refusal to let the Israelites go wasn't because God lacked power, it was because God was preparing to display his glory in a way that no one could ignore. Each plague was a step toward the ultimate moment of deliverance when the Red Sea parted. Pharaoh's resistance didn't stop God's plan, it magnified it. The longer he resisted, the more powerful and undeniable the final act of deliverance became. This is how God's timing works. The longer someone resists his will, the greater the impact when judgment comes. Their arrogance blinds them to the signs, their confidence in their schemes grows, and their plans seem to flourish. But what they don't realize is that every step they take in defiance is another step toward their own downfall. God's timing allows them to build their own trap, brick by brick, until they are completely ensnared. When justice finally arrives, it is not random or chaotic, it is deliberate and calculated. It strikes at the heart of their plans, dismantling their schemes with precision. For some, it comes as the loss of power or reputation. For others, it affects their relationships, their health, or their sense of control. Whatever form it takes, it cuts straight to the core of what they value most, leaving no room for doubt that it is divine justice at work. For the chosen ones, this timing is a testament to God's protection and faithfulness. What may feel like silence or delay is actually God setting the stage for something greater. His timing ensures that when justice comes, it is undeniable and transformative. The Lord is my rock, my fortress and my deliverer, Psalm 18 verse 2. While the wicked grow complacent, believing their plans are succeeding, God is quietly working behind the scenes, preparing to turn the tables in a way they never expected. Trusting in God's timing requires patience and faith. It means standing firm in the face of opposition, knowing that justice will come when the moment is right. It means resisting the urge to take matters into your own hands, remembering that God's plan is far greater than anything you could orchestrate. So, when you feel the weight of waiting, remember this: God's timing is perfect. Every delay has a purpose. Every moment of silence is part of a greater plan. When the time comes, justice will not only vindicate you but also glorify God in a way that leaves no doubt about His power and sovereignty. Stand firm, chosen ones, and trust in the timing of the one who holds all things in His hands. Chosen ones, stand firm. No matter what battles you face, no matter how relentless the attacks may feel, remember this unshakable truth: the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, Psalm 18 verse 2. You are not alone in this journey. You are set apart, divinely chosen, and protected by a force far greater than anything in this world. The trials you endure, the challenges you overcome, and the attacks you withstand are all part of a greater story, a story of redemption, purpose, and victory through faith. When life feels overwhelming, and it seems like the odds are stacked against you, hold on to this promise: God has not forgotten you. His timing is perfect, His justice is precise, and His protection is unwavering. Every battle you face is an opportunity for Him to demonstrate His power and faithfulness in your life. What was meant for your harm will be turned into your elevation. What others see as obstacles, God uses as stepping stones to fulfill His plan for you. Take heart in the fact that no attack can prosper against you. You are sacred territory, marked by God's favor, and untouchable under His authority. The schemes of the enemy will fail, their lies will be silenced, and their traps will be dismantled. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17. Trust in this promise, for it is a foundation that cannot be shaken. If this message has touched your heart, I invite you to take action. Share this message with someone who might be struggling, someone who feels lost or forgotten. Let them know they are seen, loved, and protected by the one who holds the universe in His hands. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, your testimony, or even your questions. Together, we can create a space where faith is strengthened, hope is restored, and God's love is shared. As you reflect on these words, remember the blessing spoken in Numbers 6:24-26, "The Lord bless you and keep you, the Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you, the Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace." These are not just words, they are promises that carry the power of God's love, grace, and favor over your life. The best is yet to come. The challenges you face today are not the end of your story. They are merely the beginning of something far greater, a purpose beyond what you can see now. Trust in God's plan, walk boldly in your faith, and let His strength carry you forward. May the Lord bless you abundantly, guide your steps, and give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Stay strong, stay faithful, and stay blessed, for your journey is not only protected but also divinely directed. The best is yet to come.